Tēnā mai e pā te Yahweh atua kua taia ke mai. Tēnei te mutunga mai o ngā me ki ngā tānga mai o ngā kōrero a Hawaikirangi ki tēnei wā tonu nei. He whai atu anō no mātau ki te whakatituki atu i ngā kaupapa kōrero i roto i tēnei rā. Ara i te titiro noa atu ki ngā te raka o te puoro me ngā pauwhakatangi puoro i te ao. Tai tanu atu anō hoki ki a rātau o te tohunga. Rātau anō pēr rānei he raka he tohunga tonu. Hoi anō, ahakoa rā pēwhea, e tātou mā, e tātou e te matua, ka tika rā hoki kia whakamoe mititia koe, ko koe anō, ko koe ia, i whakaaro nui anō ia mātau, i tau whakaarahirahi anō ia mātau, me tō mātau whai atu i tēnei kaupapa. Ka puku anō te rai, ka heha. Pai atu anō te hau ki roto ki te whai atu i roto i ngā whakaharatau, te kaukau mai o ngā rōpū, i ngā pōi whakatangi puoro anō, taitanu atu anō rā hoki ki te whaiwhai atu i a rātau, ki te wātika, kia hara mai anō ai ki te taupuni, e rā mea katoa. I nā iana, te āhua nei, e pā, kua tino rite mai anō ai mātau, te rōpū o tahu posi, kia tī mataria, tēnei haringa o mātau, tēnei kua wawatatia, tēnei kua moe ātia, ia mātau, kia whakatinanahia. Ki tēnei hi koinga, ki tēnei hi koinga. Ki te kokoni rāno. Ia mātau na wai, ka whai atu. Anō i ngā mea katoa o roto, te wawatatia o mātau, ki tēnei haerenga, me o mātau na hia katoa anō. Kia whakatitukitia, ngā mea katoa kia whakatitukitia, ki roto ki te haringa tēnei o mātau. E pā, e tō mātau matua nui te rangi e. No reira nā āhau whaikupu ai ki a koe, whakanui ai ki a koe, whakahonoretia, whakamoe miti, ai te ingoa te iehua. Mene, ka piti hono, ka tātai hono, te mate ki te mate, rātau māno tērā, ka riro atu nei, rātau māno, i roto i tēnei au, o te mate korona, me tērā o te mate korona paurua, tērā mea tino mō rea e haere tonu anana, e mākurukuru haere anana, i roto i a tātou, i roto i a mātau e pā. Ko tahi anō mea e tae ai, kia mukuti atu, kia ngaro mi atu tēnei mate, i te mata o te wenua, i te mata o te ao. I te mata kia papaha uanuku, e pā, ko tōhu ringakaha, kia pātu ai ki a ia, kia ngaro mi atu ai, ki tōhu i roto i te tūri noiho, e pā. Ki tō te tūri noiho, ki tō kaha, ki tō mana i te ao. Hoi anō, tēnei ao mate korona e haere tonu ana i roto i nei wā. Engari, kia inoi rā ia hau, I roto I tēnei wā tonu nei a te Iawe atua. Mā ana tonu I roto I te merekara ia ia. Patu haere ai, ngaro haere ai, I te mate nei, I te mate korona pouruana. Mērā mea katoa, kia poroporo atu hoki, te tangi, te mihi, kia rātau tonu anu hoki, ngā mate tara whare, ngā mate kua whetūrangi tia, ngā mate o tū matauenga, kia haere, kia haere, kia haere, kia haere, kia haere. Haere tonu ai, ki te wāhi ke whakatau I rati ai, kia koutou. Haere tonu ai, ki Hawaikinui, ki reira ka wāwāhi atu ai, koutou. Ki taua wāhi, ki te wāhi, ka tino whakatau I rati katia, kia koutou. Haere, whakahuti atu. Ka piti hono ka tātai, hono ko tātou tēnei, ki te ao nei. Tēnā pare, tekau mā waru, o te marama ngahuru mātahi, rua tekau, rua mano, rua tekau mātahi, kai te mihi atu, tēnā rā tātou mauri ora. Kahuri.
Do we have stuff to make Christmas hosting easy?
Looks like it.
Mana wahine kaheke tika tonu mai kia ho.
Ai rā hoki e tātou mā. kai te tata ki ai kua nuku atu I te takau mārua meniti ki te whā me tō tatau whai atu I ngā kōrero o te rā nei ki te whakawhanake hia mai o te waiata Magic I te waiata rā ōna I te mana wahine. Waiata tino a tāhua tira. Waiata tino a tāhua. Me te pai anō o te waiata tia ōna. Me e rā e tūruki ana ia I roto I te rā ngā waiata. Tino pai. Kia tino, kia mātini ke atu te nui o te tuhi mai o ngā waiata pēnāna. Ngā waiata pēnā te kaupapa. Tika tonu, tēnei puoro, he nui ke atu no te tāne I roto I te puoro nei. Hoi anō, tō mātau ki te kitenga. Me te kitakitenga o te rau mano tāngata e tātauma ko te tāne tonu te nuinga e āhua kōhuru tiana no hoki te puoro. Kai te pai haere I nā iana. Kai te pai haere. Koe nā te mea nui, koe nā no hoki e tahi o ngā mea e kite atu ana. I roto I nei whāinga a Hawaikirangi, kia tino whai atu ai, ki te taha ki te pōro. Ka wareware pēr hoki e tahi o tātou mā. Karakau hoki he tino tikanga kia tātou mātou te Māori, me ki, te Māori, kia whai atu I te taha ki te pōro, ki roto ki te taha ki tā te Pākehā, ki tā te ao katoa I te pōro, ne? That's a good statement to make and a very correct one. Sometimes our people, probably mostly our people, we forget that Māori don't really need to pursue music in the ways that is normally done in the theory school of music and within the modern world, the pursuit of music is something quite different to what our tūpuna mātua, the way they used to pursue music. We also take these sorts of concepts and these aspects of music into our band, into Tahu Posi, and we practice all those things. It's all a part of our culture, and our people so do forget. Māori people actually don't need theory and don't need all this. We call it hoo-ha. In Tahu Posi, we call it hoo-ha. All this fancy, there's just a fancy name for, I guess, the music industry. And it has to be. It's so commercialised and it's so aimed towards being commercialised, and that's fine. And even in a commercial world, Māori music can survive in there. And for our sake, and in terms of the example for where we're concerned, where Tahu Posi is concerned, we're talking about Tahu Mā ka nui matua music. And we're bringing a brand of reggae music that we are going to utilise and continue to develop on our journey. We're not going to say we've got it down rock solid straight away. We're going to say we've got the music down. Yes. I don't go back on that, and I won't right through the journey. But styles even develop and need time to develop. Okay, and hopefully we do that right. And a lot of people do. They forget Māori people. It's we've drummed it in right from the start of this program, haven't we? The spiritual, te taha ki te wairua. Māori music is born from there. I roto te taha ki te wairua, I ngā tuatuatanga mai anō, ki roto ki ngā wenua, I roto i ngā whetū, I roto i ngā ao, I te ao tukupu. Pita atu anō ki roto papaha uenuku, kia rangi nui, pai reira te puoro kia mātau. Whāngai tonu ai a mātau ki tērā puoro. Whāngai tonu ai. Ie tahi wā, whaikara ki anō ai mātau. Kia tino mai anō ai te kaha ngā tuatuatanga I roto I tau ao. Tau ki te puoro. I a tangaroa mā. I a tangaroa mautai. E rā mea katoa. E rā tū āhuatanga nā I roto te kāinga. Kia tangaroa. Tō hona whare. E rā mea katoa ana uri. Ngā āhuatanga katoa I roto I te pōro I aia. Kia tāne mahutama. Putatu, putatu, putatu. Yes, so let's not forget e tātou mā. Whilst we're thinking about all of these modern innovations and these modern innovations, we're not putting them down. And we need them, and we need industrialization. We need technology. You know, all of these things, we need them, and we need to hold them close, hold them dear, and work with them hard to produce and to have that commercial success. And we'll have that. We can't not have that because we've got the music down. What we must not do is be unrealistic in our goals and aims from right throughout. One thing, though, and that's why I wanted to mention that, is that, you know, there are some judgments out there, like I've got, like for me personally, I have some out there that are quite he tāngata harawene ia. You know, they're a bit envious of me, so they have their judgments of me. And they don't actually know I have trained, and I have so much experience but especially in the genre of reggae. That's where my biggest experience is, because that's the music that grabbed me the most. But I've, you know, mostly rock, R&B, soul, gospel, you know, music like that, kapahaka, you know, actually, and that's where I started. That's where my music began, was actually he waiata Māori. Waiata era. So I'm doing the right thing. I'm utilising that particular music within the genre, and I'm bringing it through. And so, yeah, just so that you know, e tatauma, let's be careful with judgments out there of in particular Māori, in particular Pacific Islanders too are the same. He rere ke tonu anō, te ao ki te puoro kia mātau. Kai roto ki ngā tū āhuatanga ki te kāinga ki a tātou mātau, ki ngā āhuatanga ki a tangaroa, ki ngā tuatuatanga katoa. Anō. So we need to, we need to understand that the actual gifted and the gifts and the abilities of Māori in music, in most cases, rather natural. I also owe a lot of my ability to play the music to the simple fact that genealogically, you know, our tribe, our iwi, Tahu Mākaka Nui Matua goes all the way back into the 12 tribes of Israel, goes all the way back into the African Nubian Hebrew, which is where Rasta and liberty first was grown and advanced from within there, and from whence came reggae. From all of the foundations and the genesis of music as we know it, according to God's word. And I add to that, ka piti atu e ahau ki konei, I konana, I te taha ki te pōro kia rangi nui mā. ki aio. Kia ranginui, kia papaha, iwanuku putatu anō, kia rā, iwana tamariki, katoa. Okay, so we need to be aware of all these things. And so that's where it develops. A lot of our people that come, even those, yeah, they might have done a bit of training, but a lot of their talent and their gifts comes through natural ability, comes from the world of our tūpuna. You know, it doesn't actually, you know, the music industry probably does a lot more in terms of commercializing us. It does a lot more in terms of professionalizing us and readying us for every stage of growth in the industry. It probably does more of that rather than develop who we are as a talent and who we are as musicians. And you know, regardless of all our judgments and the hundreds of thousands that have judgments of reggae in this country, we're just one of those people who are not afraid to let it all out and bring it all out into the open so it can be talked about. Because that's the problem with a lot of things. When they get held back, no one gets to talk about them, so they get worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And we're not a people that likes that sort of process, who enjoys that sort of thing happening, especially when it comes to our own people. You know, Pacific Island and Māori. Okay? And I'm just doing that because Māori, kia mātau, kia tahu mā kā kanui matua, karakau I te iwi tērā. Harakau I te iwi. Engari he wairuatanga, he taha ki te wairua. E tino Māori atu ana tērā atu āhua. Nō roto I te atu atuatanga anō tērā atu āhuatanga. Nō mai mua I tau tukupu. Nō mai mua o Makenui. No mai mua I te pūehuehutanga ki reira. Te Māori e kōrero hia kene. Yeah, so we believe quite differently to the beliefs of some other tribes. Other Uretārewa believe that the Māoriness of our people came from, you know, was always a part of us, to us kai te e. To us kai te e tēnā. So, and because we're all different, we have our variations and all sorts of different things. And so, Tata Ma, I just thought I'd start us off with that, and start us off also with magic. You know, singing the appropriate waiata ne, our wahine toa. Yeah, our wahine toa. One of our wahine toa really singing a song that is e tatauma quite appropriate to utilise in terms of the simple fact that we have been elevating, how else can I put it, we're reiterating the wahine toa, these wahine toa especially, for their work in reggae music, and in the hope that we can encourage them on to a lot more. I just saw a promotion of Magic Powders not so long ago on Facebook. She's one of the judges in the Korihi Waiata competition, people writing about COVID and singing in Korihi will be judged by Magic. They're very lucky to have that, eh? But, yeah, we're doing our bit for our wahine toa who otherwise don't have much of a voice. All they've got to rely on is their promotions, etc., you know. And a lot of us need to be able to appreciate and value the fact that there are some of us out there who do enjoy the work of our wahine toa out there, and there's not many of them in reggae music. So we're real happy we've covered them, and yeah, there's some good artistry going on out there, and it can get better. And that's the art to music. Music always should get better and better. Well, you know, we need to keep trying to develop in reggae music, and everyone does. Okay. And so, yeah, regardless of you know, even a lot of the comments and stuff that have been made right throughout the program, and a lot of the different criticisms, we've come a long way since the first of those, because there's been a lot of improvements already. Yeah, that's the world. Yeah, I mean, welcome to the modern day. Welcome to social media, and welcome to you know, the world of what do you call it? Celebrity life in general. You know, once you're out there, you're in that space. You know. And in that space, you have to be so thick-skinned because everyone's out to get you in that space. And, well, it's not really that bad, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean. It can be a very, very, very rough and tumble world. So you have to be open to that. And same with Tahu Posse. We have to be open to that. We're going to get criticisms, and then it comes with the world, comes with the territory, comes with the industry. And we're used to it already. I mean, we're used to doing that to ourselves. So it's no different. It's no different coming from someone else. In fact, it's probably easier coming from someone else, because when we all get together and we're starting to debrief everything, you know, we are brutally honest, eh? We are brutally honest, you know? And that's how I always do my any group that I work with. I make sure we call a spade, and an ace, and a jack, and a king, yeah. And yeah, it is a little bit like playing cards, and you get dealt what you get dealt. But yeah, seriously, it's a really rough and tumble world. So, but even though there's been those judgments, everyone's got a talent to share out there. And every one of these people are developing just like us, are moving through the industry just like us, and are finding their ways through. And just like them, we'll find ours. And we need to continue to develop our reggae music, even though we've got the music down. Even though we've got the music down, there's no sense in being or becoming complacent about it, especially in gospel reggae. Because again, I say, there's not many in gospel reggae. And so you have to make sure you understand what gospel reggae is, roots conscious, roots reggae, gospel as well, and exactly where it is and where it has grown from, and where the strongest influences are of gospel reggae. And believe it or not, the strongest influences, and even still today in gospel reggae, are Bob Marley. Stars like Bob Marley, Jimmy Cliff, UB40, and some of the other stars that we have in there, like Papa San. Yeah. All those people that have brought out the modern rhythms as well, and are using all the modern ways of working with the music and taking it to the heights that we know that it can go. There's just not enough of us in gospel reggae. There's just not enough, and not enough variation. And when you have a good look right across all of the gospel reggae repertoire and all the arsenals and everyone's repertoire, etc., what it looks like is a change of the face of the music. And yeah, it's definitely, that is more something we need to change, because we need to turn it back to where it started to develop originally. And it came through the gospel-y roots of Rasta roots reggae. That's where it started. That's where gospel reggae is. And within the soul and the gospel of the Christians, etc., etc., etc. So when we put all of that together, we've got one amazing product there to work with. Hey. And then we come along and we're adding our 20 cents in there, and we're going, gospel roots, conscious roots, thank you very much. So we put in there our tahu roots, we add our spirituality in there, and we bring our brand of reggae with it. And yeah, what an amazing, this is going to be such fun. And such a challenge. It's going to be such a challenge because, again, I say gospel reggae, it's a little bit like a whole new genre to me, but then again, I can rely on the old skills that I've always had in the music, and the same with tahu posi, and we can actually bring the music together to much easier than it might sound, in terms that we are going to come up against challenges. E tatauma, and we will be able to deliver. Okay, why? Because simply, I say, we do have the music down, and that's what matters in the end. If you have the music down, no matter how challenging the space, you're always going to be able to produce the goods. Okay? And no matter what difficulties you go through, you're always going to be able to produce the goods when they really matter. When they really matter. And that's what I would like you to look out for on the next program on Tahu Posi, the journey. Tahu Posi, the journey. Tahu Posi, the journey into the reggae world. We'll just call it Tahu Posi, but it's basically going to outline our journey into the big wide world of reggae music. That's huge. That's a huge world. We're talking huge. It's so huge. I mean, it's bigger than I can explain right now. And I don't really have the words right now to deliver the words to describe what that world is made up of. It's monstrous. And very, very soon, e tatauma, kai te ono meniti mai I te whā, e tatauma, very in a moment or two, we will have one of my favourite songs of this particular heavyweight in the music, singing one of my favourite songs of his. And this particular one is called Justice. So you know who I'm talking about, right? I actually wanted to finish with him today, with Ziggy, who has become arguably the best in the world. Ziggy, Bob's son, arguably he's the best in the world. The most Grammys, the most hits, unbelievable. The markets he's tapped into and brought reggae into are all brand new, and he's absolutely taken them over. He's taken those markets over big time. And I actually know because I won't profess to know country music that well. I mean, I was more in the rock and roll, blues, soul, R&B areas of music when I grew up, but especially reggae. So I won't profess to know country music, but one thing I do know is that country music has a similarity with reggae in terms that we always love to tell a story, and we love to take people on a journey as we tell that story, and we love to conclude that journey and bring people to the greatest parts of that story in the best ways possible. And I didn't know that about country music until very recently. So I'm starting to look at country music. Why? Because I'm starting to do a lot more country music with some of my friends and mix them with the music. And I don't mind the musical part being variety, but I'm personally not one to get into variety too much, because for me it sounds, it feels, and I've always been like that. People think that, I mean, I'm shy too, but people think that because I've been a performer for 47 or so, 48 years, which is just about right throughout my whole life, I've been a performer that it comes easy. No, it doesn't. I still don't like to Skype. I still am shy. I still need to take deep breaths before I get on stage or before I come into a performance in anything. And I still make mistakes. The best of us makes mistakes. Okay? But, you know, the art of it is to not. And the other part of the art is how well you prepare. Hey. E tatema. But hey, let's get a load of Ziggy. And the reason I'm not going to finish with Ziggy today is because Bob's going to finish for us today. And how befitting that Bob would do our gospel soul number today. E tatema. Ziggy Marley. Haere tonu ake ne ki a tatau. Kahuri.
innocent cry, the innocent cry. I remember, they let the innocent cry, the innocent die. How they lied, how they lied. Why do they do the wrong? They make me sing this song. Hey, hey. Why do they do the wrong? They make me sing this song. I don't know why, 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 I don't know why. Justice. Justice, 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 justice. Where can you be found? Where can you be found? So we've been looking all around. We've been looking all around. For you, 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 we've been looking all around. Justice, where can you be found? Where can you be found? Where can you be found? Until the philosophy which owes one race superior and another race inferior is finally and permanently discredited and abandoned until the color of a man's skin is of no more significance than the color of his eyes.
Tēnā rā e tātai mā tino pai rā tērā. Te waiata rā ia justice kai te tekau mā uno mai I te whā. Yes, e tātou mā. And today, obviously, Calvin's not here, so we couldn't do our waiata that we had planned for today. I still have some organised, though. I don't know that I'll get enough time to even do one, but we'll see how we go. And we have still some heavyweights to have a look at. Another part of the explanatory of themes of kaupapa and of some of the kōrero over the last the few weeks prior to last week is the interchangeability. We talk about interchangeability in our culture, in our super tribe, and in our super tribe, in our uretārewa hapu nui tonu. We have interchangeability as well that sometimes happens within te naina or junior and to our kanakana or senior lineages of descent. So sometimes there is an interchangeability. So we're going to get to clarify what that is and how that works, and so that you understand that even though the Lord, within the genealogical lines of our super tribe, within our culture as well, and in fact most of the super tribes, I can't think of one uretārewa that doesn't have a similar whakapapa, where the Almighty actually descends in a junior line of descent. However, and that's in among the atuatuatanga, well, that's where the interchangeability actually begins. We have interchangeability between ancestries e tataima within our tribe, and also, between tribal ancestries and between juniorities and seniorities. So there's an interchangeability. So even though you might have a senior line and you might have a junior line, which, you know, in terms of the situation, the location of either, one's always senior, one's always junior. But in our culture, that's not always the case. That's what I'm talking about when I talk about interchangeability. So, tēnei te atuatua, te Yahweh atua ki tā mātou. That's our name. That's the name we use, te Yahweh atua. That's what we call Ihoa. That's what we call Ja. That's what we call God. We call him te Yahweh atua. He falls into a genealogical descent. But the genealogical descent happens to be a very interchangeable one. And in fact, they all are. All interchangeable ones are very. And the reasons for that can vary. But it's obvious for God, isn't it? He's the all-conquering, the all-knowing of the day. In the modern day and leading into, in fact, even around the times, even prior to the times of colonization, the Lord and the different, even if we follow the passages of the Bible and we see the journeys of the people of Israel, we see within those passages e tātou mā, the parts that God played. God was playing a huge part in the world during those times. Same thing, you know. And especially in this modern day, the Lord has a huge role to play. And that's one of the regions that interchangeability can be hugely important within an ancestry descent, within a particular genealogical descent. Even though they're junior, they can take a leading role. Okay, why? Because the place of the Lord is a hugely expansive place. You know, if you look at the lands of Māori in New Zealand, we're not actually the hugest country. We might have lands around the world as well, and they're not the most expansive in the world. And yet, if you looked at the extent of where God is in the world, actually, he just about covers the whole world. E tatou ma, so he in particular anyway has just that alone, that mention alone gives you the simple fact that he has a right to that leadership. Ne? You know, and it's some of those that just the simple fact that within his location, he holds the seniority, he holds the leadership quite profoundly. And that's one reason for interchangeability. So in other words, what I'm saying is that in any area of our super tribes, yeah, fine, we hold tuakana status in any of those areas, that's fine. But in any area where it's not, and actually God holds the authority and seniority, like for instance, not even necessarily within the church. Because most churches actually allow for the Māori world to enter into the churches, you know. There's no problem with that. Christians are quite open to that. But outside of this world, you know, where the world begins to change, you know, like for instance in Australia, there are very little areas where Māori have the authority, obviously. because it's not our land. Obviously, we're not tangata whenua mostly over there. Okay, same in Italy, same in France, same. Need I mention any more? And so, obviously, there is a greater authority for God in certain areas, and in those areas, God can take the lead. Yeah? So that's one way of interpreting the interchangeability. The other is in the role, and there are even more, and that is in terms of the pū manawa, the tau tō hito, or the skills and giftings of that, the te neina. And in this world, all of the gifts of the Lord are necessary. We all need. And usually the gifts of a te neina were reiterated in past times because they were of greater need than any other. And need I say more? The interchangeability is obvious, and the reasons for interchangeability are obvious, and so the Lord, even though being te neina in our genealogical lines, still has that ability to be able to lead in his rightful place, in his rightful time, in his rightful role, and within his rightful situation, which is still within the church. Even though there might be Māori there, there's still times where he must do his work within the church. Kai te pai? Hopefully that clarifies a bit of that for you, and we have come a bit further to knowing exactly what I was talking about when I spoke about interchangeability. And it's a very important part of our culture. Another one of those elements, another one of those aspects of our culture, e tatauma, that people forgot, and that we brought back in. There's so much of that sort of thing where tahuma kākanui matua is concerned, that we brought back into our culture and brought it back into the modern day for everyone to share. E tatauma, ki tēnei wā tonu nei, Energy Rising is about to entertain us, take us into the next couple of minutes. Kai te ruatakau mā whitu mai I te whā, Energy Rising. Hopefully that's clear, the way interchangeability works. There's a number of reasons that should happen, and that should happen, and especially between our tuatuatanga. And this is why I always say to a lot of our people serve I o te matua te kore, I o te tiki o rangi, and they're not Christian, but I always mention to them, e tatauma, that regardless of whether we're Christian or not, God still has a place. We have to be open to that. And let us not forget, a io, tautoko tia tunei a io, iai. Because, and that is very much the case, tūruki, paneke atu ai, a io I roto iai. Because io has a light side and a dark side. And in the light side is where God comes through. From I o te matangaro I a mātau o tahu māka kanui matua. So let's not forget that. So we must allow time and space for God to do his work too. Ne? But another thing too, tahu māka kanui matua sees it as a step backwards. It's not an advancement if we totally block that out. Okay? And because Jesus is God, God is Jesus, we can't totally block out Christianity either. E tātou mā. Ooh, pretty deep, eh, these spiritual things. But yeah, I'm just trying to get some clarity for you. Those listening out there, and all those who take a keen interest in watching us on Wairarapa TV, e tātou mā. To have clarity of what we're talking about when we're talking about spirituality. It's much about ourselves as much as it is about the type of spirituality that we seek to refuge within, and that we seek to guide us, and that we always look for guidance from and sustenance. Okay? It works the same in music. Music, works in the, There's a driving force. There's a sustenance. There's a living potential. There is giftings and talents in the spirit that we utilize within our music, and it's in every music. Let's face it. But some music is more spiritual than any other, and reggae is one of the most spiritual musics I have ever encountered. Māori music, most Māori music is spiritual, very, very spiritual. Gospel's just about always spiritual. Okay? E tātou mā, energy rising, e haere tonu akena, from darkness to light. Kahuri.
People say they tried to warn us about the lives we're leading, filling minds with hate and envy, losing love and harmony every day. Oh, tell me, Papa, what are we supposed to do? I'm feeling blinded by so many shows. Got no man to guide, show me the way. So tell me, Papa, what do you have to say? From darkness to light, from pain to freedom, oppression to liberation, from darkness to light, from darkness to light. Embrace your culture, thoughts, beliefs handed down. Conscious messages staying the same. Seas of opportunity start stray. From the teaching, sounding hope, truth remains. Bugs are lifting, clouds are clearing, Papa, please. You're the future, bank successfully you'll see. Within you, the answers you will find. Trust your instincts, they are always on time. From darkness to light, from pain to freedom, oppression to liberation, from darkness to light, from darkness to light.
spark of the divine light.
From pain to freedom, oppression to liberation. From darkness to light, to light, to light. From darkness to light. From darkness to light. Yeah. From darkness to light.
Ha tēnā hoki ake mai anō e tatau mā kai te ruatakai mā rima ki te rima. Kare pē whai wāhia hau ki te waiata hoi anō. Ngā tohunga kai teo. Kia tino whai atu ai kia ratau. Ai, so that's interchangeability. Hopefully we've got some clarity in that. And it was the right of the te inaina to have their space, their rightful space where interchangeability was manifest. So not every tuakana in Teina can do that. It has to be manifest in the way that the descents are organised. It has to be manifest in terms that within those descents there's some special connections there. And also some other descent lines that tie back in to other seniorships in other areas. And that's what I was talking about within where, I mean, because God, outside of the Māori world, is the absolute senior. So that's what I'm talking about, the place of God, say like in Israel. If we all went to Israel, God is absolute senior. See, and any of our ate would never ever make the grade over there. Yeah, I'm not. It's not actually funny, but the difference is huge. So, and when you're in a totally different world, and more or less, I could say and call that God's world. That's where interchangeability comes in. So you have. Once we're in that world, we're actually Teina, see? So becomes interchangeable. As soon as they come over here, they're Teina. And then as soon as we go over there, we're Teina. Those sorts of things happened in our traditional world. And we still practice those things in Tahumāka ka nui matua today. Coming up next, e tātou mā is Kimani of the Māori brothers, and one of his waiata, he sings this waiata. I'm hoping I get it right. I actually didn't have time to look it up, this waiata, but I'm just hoping I get the right one. Actually this has to be it, because I just seen the video pic of the girl that he sings this waiata to. And so Kimani, one of the greats already, one of the younger brothers, but very, very powerful actor and musician, and already up there with the heavyweights of the world of reggae music, one of the leaders in the music as well. E tātou mā. Kahuri.
Keep an eye on your stuff from here.
Excuse me?
See in the dark from there.
Can I help you? Oh no.
Keep out unwanted guests from here.
Hey, you're not getting into my house, mister.
Package for John.
Okay, thanks.
And keep an eye on your packages from there. With Ring, protect your whole home from anywhere. Smart security made simple.
Can I have a moment of your time? I would like to know your name. Kimani, that is mine. where you've been hiding all my life. I can't believe the beauty standing right in front of my eyes. Girl, you rule my heart. 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 You're a rare and special kind, and I would do anything in the world to make you mine. Could this be love at first sight? Baby, let me hold you close, even only for one night. Girl, you rule my heart. 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 Girl, you make me fantasize. Your body have me hypnotized. You're running circles through my mind. Yeah, yeah. I wanna love and treat you right. I've been waiting all my life for a girl that's so divine. Whoa, girl, you rule my heart. 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 Girl, you rule my heart.
Tāua tēnā o ngā waiata e tātou mā. Nā wai tātou e tiro tonu ki ngā waiata a ngā raka a ngā tohunga i te ao. You know, and they just get sweeter and sweeter. The tohunga just know their stuff so well that we keep on e tātou mā, getting those hits pumping on out. They just have a way with the music. Reggae music just never stops, never dies, rocks on, and all of the new generations have taken over in reggae music, you may as well say, and we just didn't have enough time to cover them all. But yeah, isn't that amazing? Some R&B soul there, rocking its way into reggae fame. You know, R&B soul in a reggae sense. One of the things I must mention too, there was one point I made about Bob's reggae in terms of his use of jazz in reggae music. Well, jazz is a part of reggae music, yeah, let's put it that way. But when Bob played jazz, he played it in quite a rocky way of playing it. So his method was to make it sound rocky, make it give it more attitude and more feel, more tension in terms of feel. Arohamai e tatoma. That's oh no, that wasn't. I thought that was real estate, but and I just remembered I forgot to turn my phone off. But e tātou mā, you know, yeah, there are some amazing waiata out there, and we get to enjoy them all. From the heavyweights, the more we listen and the more we get into their music. And e tātou mā, you know what? Kimani is one of those that has added to the genre and brought a lot of the newness into the music and continued to develop the music in different ways. And all of the Māoris are doing that. But I especially love the aspects of the tenets of their father's music that they take into it too. It's just marvellous to see. And, they're like chiefs. They're like, for ariki, like chiefs in like paramount chiefs in our culture and in our tribe. That's why I love it when they do reggae songs, the Māori brothers, they sing them like chiefs, And for an ariki in our culture, they're like built for women. They're built for a wife. It is one of their major goals in life. It is a responsibility and obligation to have a woman, to have a wife. And yes, it's true. Most of them had many, many wives, just like Bob had many, many wives. He's just like a paramount chief. And they were part of the tribe of Joseph. He was tribe of Joseph. And you, if you all know the story of Joseph, then he had those traits, those gifts that were very, very special among the tribes. And so he was regarded as pretty much like a chief anyway. He had those magical traits and giftings among the tribes. And I'm not surprised that the Māori brothers do a lot of love songs. And when a chief in our culture pursues a woman, they go all out. Most of the time, that is the customary thing to do, is to go all out. And if indeed the woman that you pursue ensures that you do, and when you're born into paramountcy, it's something you're born into. It's something you can't get out of. It's something that you develop within as well. So you become a ladies' man. You become someone who is dependent on women, because that's the ariki's job, is to bear children, is to have wives. And there was the reason for many wives, not because we were mate wahine or anything like that. It was because we are the progenitor of the tribe. We hold all of that in our hands. Okay, so the ariki is always reliant on the woman, and the same the other way around too. It's not just about the ariki. I mean, usually everyone is an ariki, but these days women don't need to be an ariki. They just need to have those characteristics that the ariki knows that can carry, and the strengths that can carry the ariki and the tribe safely within strengths and giftings necessary for the tribe into the future. Yeah. I just thought I'd share that with you too. And those are some things you'll find with our love songs, are very, very serious love songs, just like the song Hey I shared with you. And we're coming up to very quickly to the ending, so I'll get on to our next waiata e tatauma. Tēnei ake ni a ria hall. Tērā ngā wahine toa. Hei whakamutu mai i te waiata mai o ngā wahine toa ki Hawaikirangi. Ria hall. E tatauma. Me tana waiata auna. Haere tonu ake nei. Kahuri.
No one owns
your qualities.
These are gifted from our Father, even-handed impartiality. Only at the hands of the willing do we find strength in humanity. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You got me singing. Hey. Oh, people, let me tell you. Lead a horse to water. He too sick to drink. Give knowledge to man, but you cannot make him think. Yeah,
Ai, rā hoki, ria ho. Oh, guess what, e tatama. Kua pai wati te wā, nā reira kare tae tētahi o te tohunga me te raka o te ao I whakarite mai nei ki roto ki tēnei rā. Kia te tirohia, ko Stevie tērā, Stevie Marley. That's okay, we might need to have to feature him in the next show. And Tahu Posse, The Journey. And we'll do something with Stevie, maybe. Or Ziggy. Let's see how we go. E tatauma, we are going to finish off with Bob. And how befitting, because we started off with Bob. And the King must have the last say in this respect, even in terms of gospel reggae. E tatama. Because gospel roots, conscious roots, is depending on his gospelly vocals and style that he utilised right throughout his career. And yeah, again, you know, we go into the finishing with Bob. And yeah, so gospelly, most of his vocals actually. And yeah, you just cannot go past that simple fact that e tatauma. Bob was a master of reggae in every respect, including in the gospel area, which is what made him great as well. Let's take note of all these things that that in this program we've been able to share in, and that we now, you know, if we've learnt a lot of new things, I haven't learnt much in terms of new, but I've enjoyed bringing this kaupapa to you, and it's the first of its kind. We never got to use much of the reo, but in the next program I know we will use all of the reo. The ure tārewa o tahu mā kāka nui matua I'm talking about, and te reo matua I'm talking about, but we won't go into too much of reo hapu. We might use some, but e tatama, and kai te pau, tere pau haerea no te wā. Kia tatau me tō tatau whakaoti atu kia Bob ki tana waiata e tatau mā. Yeah, I think is actually quite befitting, and when you think about yeah, Bob and his gospel-y style. I mean, reggae is gospel. And gospel's a part of reggae. Jazz is a part of reggae. Blues is a part of reggae. Funk is a part of reggae. Remember me sharing all that with you right at the beginning of the show? All of the music that make up reggae. Remember? Gospel is a part of reggae. And this is why we have such great gospel stars. I mean, Jimmy Cliff was jazz. Jimmy Cliff, not jazz, was ska. Jimmy Cliff was ska in terms of reggae style. His reggae was ska. But he used a huge amount of gospel. A huge amount of gospel. And reggae is all gospel. So, for those in gospel reggae who think, now that we're talking about the New Testament, me tini atu e tatau, whakaputake atu te ahua o te poro, kai te ina wā atu tēnā. Kai te ina wā atu tēnā. Let's carry the elements of reggae into the world of gospel and grow them in there. That make that will make gospel reggae just as great. It doesn't look that at the moment, I have to admit. And lots of other people have the same, whakaaro, o rātou nā whakaaro, their thoughts are, it could look a lot better. But when we look over the growth of gospel reggae and where it's come from and where the major... It's... e tātou aroha mai. But I wasn't quick enough to get that cough. So I'll take that mask off. And, gospel reggae really grew out of Rasta roots reggae. Okay? And, there's a lot of Christian gospel influence out there in the world, of course, and that had an influence on gospel reggae too. So let's not forget that. So one of the things Tahu Posse is going to do is unite those two, because they're from the same Wairua, same God, same Matuatua, and from the Lord. I can't wait to do this. Tahu Posse, the journey. Te Yahweh atua. Whakamoe miti ana ne ia koe no te tēnei wā tonu nei. Ko whai wāhi ai rā Tahu Posse, ki te whakatituki atu ai. E taua haerenga, taua wawata, taua moe moe kia whakatinana tia, ki roto tonu anō ki a koe, ki o ringa, anō tonu, ngā mea katoa hai whai atu. Whakamoe miti, whakamoe miti, whakamoe miti. Ai te ingoa te iehua. Āmene, ka piti hono, ka tātai hono, te mate ki te mate, te ora ki te ora. E tātauma, kai te mihi atu. Tēnā rā tātou, ki te atu anu ai a tātou ki Tahu Posse, the journey, kahuri.
To want to clean up with these people, man. Rastafari is God Almighty with no apology. You know, and when I'm not most of a boasting, but so proud to know that God black. You know, just that, we just feel brave to know that God black. And you know, and though we black people, the suffering people, the first shall be the last and the last first. But I say, though we are the sufferers, today, God black, so we going to become a good people. Skipper.
Well,